Claire, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. What does Christmas actually mean for you?
Oh, Christmas is actually my favourite time of year, and I know so many people say that, but for me, it's got so much involved. It's the family, it's the gifts, it's just being together. But a lot of it for me is actually just having time off as well.
Okay.
I take no leave all year.
Really?
And then I have 6 weeks off over Christmas. And I'm trying to earn my brownie points with my kids to get me through the next year because I work a lot and I want to make sure that I have time where I prioritise my family and focus on them.
Fair enough. What does it actually, well, you've got kids, but what does it mean for kids in general, Christmas? Is it still as good as what used to be for you and me?
Oh, I think the Christmas magic really is still alive.
Okay.
I've got a 9-year-old and I'm fighting. I feel I'm on the edge of losing that with him and I'm really trying to tussle with that. But I think kids want to believe in something. I think kids are carrying a lot of heavy topics at the moment. They're exposed to a lot. They have a lot of anxiety around that. They know more than we did when we were kids. And so coming back to magic and those simple times and all the festivities around Christmas, I think that's really important for kids to decompress and refocus on what's important.
Do you do anything magical during the couple of days over Christmas?
Oh my gosh, well my family have a big Christmas Eve party myself.
Yep. You do Christmas Eve, do you?
We do Christmas Eve and then Christmas morning with my kids, and I'm up with the flashlight on the headlight until about 5:05, and they wake up at 5:15, and I go, oh, imagine that Santa's come. But I just love it. I love the wrapping. I love the setup. I love the lights. I love it all. But I work right up until sort of 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve with Little Wings. We usually sprinkle a little bit of Christmas magic on Christmas Eve.
Okay, so what's the Christmas magic for Little Wings?
So last year I spent this is a little bit of a detour. I spent 3 days on a tractor doing 300 kilometres to raise money for Little Wings in Wellington.
Okay.
And of course,
Wellington, New South Wales.
Wellington, New South Wales.
Yeah,
now, when you're on a tractor, you're going very slow. You've got a lot of thinking time.
Mm-hmm.
But at night time, I would be running down to Woolworths or running down to the local shops to prepare for the gala or the dinner or whatever we're doing. And I saw a lot of very young children, sort of 6 to 10, begging for food.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not lollies or ice cream or money, like you'd think if kids were begging for something, but food. And I bought a couple of little boys some bread and some things they asked for. And it really bothered me. And so what we did last year, it really bothered me, and it just resonated with me. I just couldn't get it out of my mind. So on Christmas Eve last year, we took our whole Little Wings team down to volunteer, and we threw a huge Christmas party for the whole town. We worked with the schools and the hospital and the clubs, and we made sure that every child in Wellington had a gift and a hamper, so they had something to unwrap and a full tummy on Christmas Day. And it was just truly joyous.
So what is Little Wings?
Little Wings is a small but mighty charity based at Bankstown, Cessnock and Archerfield Airport. And on a daily basis, we fly all around regional and remote New South Wales, the ACT and Queensland.
Oh, you do Queensland as well?
Yes. Okay. And we pick up seriously ill or injured children and fly them into major hospitals to access life-saving medical treatment on a regular and routine basis.
So I was looking at some numbers there. So pretty incredible stats in terms of travel, both on road and air. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So every mission has a component that is by road because we drive from hangar to hospital.
Yes.
But some are just by road if the child has a respiratory issue or is on oxygen, or maybe they're within the 3-hour limitation. We still will honour those families if they're really struggling to access healthcare. Okay,
so how do I know about it? Like, I've got a young family. I'm stuck out, Western New South Wales, out in the bush somewhere. I can't afford to put people on my little boy or girl on a plane or an emergency, or flying doctors don't turn up. But how does this all come together?
So the Royal Flying Doctors is like an ambulance of the sky.
Okay.
They're decked out like an ambulance. They've got medical staff on board, and often they'll bring you into hospital in a crisis.
Yep.
But that's really where the relationship ends. Think about an ambulance by road. They don't wait to drive you home at the end of your treatment.
Wish they could.
Wish they could. And so often then that's where the referral to Little Wings comes into play.
Okay.
So we're that non-crisis service. We're that regular and routine, back and forth over long periods of time to and from hospital. So on average, children will fly with us for about 18 months, but our longest flying passenger has been flying for 12 years to access healthcare that isn't available locally. So
12 years?
12 years. And 53% of the kids
off the farm or something like that, or where's that?
Yeah, she's out at Coonamble.
I know Coonamble.
Yeah, a lot of emus out there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is.
I was looking like a real city slicker that day because I was just like, what's with the emus?
Yeah.
But, you know, these little country towns, they just don't have the infrastructure. And even if they do, they don't have the team to run the hospitals.
Yep. And what's wrong with the little child?
So when Armani was 4, she actually was helping her brother with his evening chores, and instead of putting the accelerant on the fire, she sprayed it on her little body, and she went up in flames. Her torso completely melted, her ear off, her part of her face, her arms, and then the healthy skin on her legs is where they take the skin grafts from. And so because every time Armani has a growth spurt, her skin no longer stretches, she has to come in for more treatment, more skin grafts, more rehab.
Oh, the poor thing.
So we see her very regularly,
right.
probably every 4 to 6 months. She's coming in to either prepare for surgery, to have surgery, or post-surgery recovery.
Tough part of the gig, isn't it?
It is hard.
The things you must see.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say majority of the outcomes for kids, the prognosis is better than adults. So that is positive because 53% of the kids we see have some form of cancer. So they're coming back and forth almost weekly for chemotherapy. So that is a good thing. But, you know, there are probably 5, 6, maybe 7 children a year that pass away, and they're really hard days because we become attached. We see them regularly. We have a front seat to the best days, but also the worst ones.
Is it all volunteer? Like how does it all work?
It is the magic of Little Wings, honestly. Okay. So we're 90% volunteer-led. Got 8 people in the engine room and 103 volunteers, pilots, drivers, volunteer staff, people donating specialist skills, maybe IT, photography, a whole range of things.
Yep.
To keep us in the air and on the road every day of the year.
What sort of planes you're flying out of Bankstown?
So we own our fleet of planes. We're very lucky. We've got 4 Barons.
Okay.
So a Baron's sort of like the Toyota of the sky, you know. She's regular, she's reliable, and she can touch every single boundary of the state in one day.
Really?
She's 6-seater. And then we have one Navajo, which was actually donated by private donor last year, which is a larger plane, allowing us to take medical teams out to the bush to do clinics. So it's part of that preventative care and also trying to improve health literacy because we know in the bush the life expectancy of people is about 8 years less than that in the city. And a lot of that is about health literacy, access, and just the many barriers that they come up against when trying to access care.
Gosh, I didn't realise that differential, 8 years.
Yeah.
Gosh, okay. I thought we work harder than those people out in the bush.
I wouldn't say that out there if I was you. You wouldn't make it back.
Fair enough. Hey, you think you're doing a good enough job?
I ask myself
so there's always
that
frustration in your type of role, isn't there?
Yeah.
You always do more?
Always. And, you know, when you hear a great story or you hear about impact, you think, do more, Claire, do better, push harder. Yep. And I think that's just the mentality of anyone who loves their job and wants to make a positive difference in the world.
Yep.
But of course, you can always improve. And I think having that ability to self-reflect and debrief is really important in terms of best practice and trying to reach those that really need you.
Okay, so you got 4, what was it?
4 Barons.
Yeah, 1
Navajo.
Okay. How long you had them for?
We've had them for a while.
Yeah.
Been around for 12 years.
Okay.
A few of the fleet need to be retired. That is
all right.
For sure.
So if you're doing your planning forward for the next couple of years, Claire, what do you actually need?
We need 3 planes is what we need in the next sort of 5 years.
That's going to cover the state, Queensland, ACT, et cetera, et cetera?
That will help us set up a 4th base in Cairns to service the Northern Territory and allow us to turn over our fleet to make sure we've got the best possible planes flying and safety is upheld.
All right. So that's not going to be cheap.
That is not cheap.
All right. So how do you go about raising money for that?
Well, Greg, as I said earlier, I'm a professional beggar and I have no shame. I have 0 shame. It's sort of like, I feel like it's my Sasha Fierce, you know, Beyonce always talks about. When I come to work, I dress for work and I'll do whatever it takes.
Okay.
But a plane costs about $1 million, so it's not a cheap process.
Yeah. And you've got to maintain them.
We've got to maintain them. That is the bugger, I have to tell you.
Yep.
We've had planes donated through the government, which has been incredibly helpful.
Yep.
And we had a private donor. I think it's just going through the process. We would never be able to raise $1 million in a year to buy a plane.
Is that right?
We're just not big enough. We just don't have that sort of support or exposure or people coming to us with those sort of opportunities. It's about maintaining what we have. So we really do need a big helping hand, whether that's a government gesture, whether that's someone retiring a plane and giving it to us. But for us to raise it on our own would be near impossible.
Oh, you're here today, are you?
I'm here today.
We're going to try to do something, are we?
And I'm hoping the people are hearing me. I need a plane.
Yeah.
I need it fast.
Yep.
But, that plane will support another 800 families every single year.
Okay.
And those families, as I said...
family.
That's
okay,
right.
so we're not just... And that's the big thing about this, isn't it? It's not just the children.
It's
everybody involved with the little child.
Exactly. So when we support the child, which is what it looks like often, making sure they get the care they need, it actually keeps the whole family unit united because we know that time away, financial pressures, travel fatigue, these impact on family function.
So I guess mum and dad jump on the plane too, or how does this all they do? They can?
Depends. Typically it's mum, but we get her in and out in the same day if we can, so she's home in time for dinner to keep those family routines going.
Wow.
If you're doing that every week, at least it means you probably can continue to work, you're there for your healthy children, if you contribute to the community, your church, if you study, whatever it looks like, you can have that normality and also that support network around you. And I think for country little communities, that ripple effect is real.
Yeah.
Often we hear stories that when we take mum or even dad out, they're the only teacher, the only police officer, the only hairdresser.
Yeah, right.
And if he or she is gone...
The hairdresser gone out of town.
That's right. It gets ugly. It gets ugly.
This is unbelievable. It's a drought. Go on.
I know, but if it's over long periods of time, how do communities function? And that's why people leave, because if it's the only police officer and the crime goes up, if it's the only midwife and they can't have their baby, of course they're going to move to a bigger town to give birth to their baby, and they're uprooting their life. So do they do that temporarily? Do they come back to that community town? And so it does have an impact on so many when one child is sick. So yes, they're at the centre, but that ecosystem is very complex.
So just in terms of, I guess, statistics, Claire, what sort of numbers of children are you caring for at the moment?
Yeah, so in the last financial year, 2025, we supported 5,110 children across the 3 states. We also supported a few children in Tasmania, Victoria, Northern Territory and South Australia, predominantly for children that needed transplants, were on medical trials or had very rare genetic conditions where they had to come into Westmead. Because Westmead is such a precinct, they have a lot of the top doctors, a lot of research happens there. Okay. And so that hub, they have to come from other parts of the country to access.
Thanks for watching the No Limitations podcast, brought to you by Blenheim Partners, board and executive search firm. As a trusted advisor, we work with Australian listed groups, multinational corporations, large private companies and social impact organisations on their most critical people choices to drive change, prepare for growth and outperform their peers. To learn more about Blenheim Partners and executive search, visit our website, blenheimpartners.com. And now, back to the show. And what are you seeing, Claire? There's some conspiracy theory out there, but COVID, etc. Are you seeing more kids get sick, or are you seeing more instances of cancer come through in the last few years than before? It's a pretty. I had a chat with someone on the weekend. They said there's a lot of anomalies at the moment out there. But are you seeing anything in that regard?
Well, we've had a 400% increase in service demand in 4 years, so we 400%. See that going up. But is that because they know about you? That's right. It's not necessarily because there's more sick kids, although we do know that in Australia there's about an 8% increase in the number of children that are diagnosed with cancer. 8%? Yeah. Wow. So it is growing for sure, but it's a sort of a subtle conversation. It's not something that I suppose is being brought to the forefront in a lot of ways, but it is definitely there, and it's a real stat. But a lot of it is just because we've been shouting from the rooftops, trying to let people know we're there. We want people to be able to advocate for themselves at that first point of diagnosis and not try and struggle and drive and put themselves and their families at risk going to and from, but instead saying, I heard about Little Wings, can you refer me? I want to fly to Sydney. I need my child to access that care, or I need to continue to work. Can I access this service? Because what we find is majority of the referrals come through the Sydney Children's Hospital network, which is brilliant, but it's a huge system. And so it's usually not until the 3rd, 4th or 5th visit that a family has to attend that they hit crisis, and that triggers the referral. Oh, okay. It's from the crisis point onwards, is it? That's right. But we want to avoid that and have it from the first point of diagnosis. So we spend a lot of time on the road going out and educating councils, regional doctors, nurses, teachers, allied health, anyone that comes into contact with that child and their family, and saying you can refer them if this service is required. So you pick them up, you put them on the plane, and you deliver them to Westmead? That's right, wherever they're going. So it could be their accommodation as well. Okay. But Westmead, Randwick, Manly, we work with Royal Far West, John Hunter Children's Hospital in Newcastle, and Queensland Children's Hospital as well. So what it looks like essentially is our pilots will come in usually early morning, prepare the plane. It is real flying with us.
It's pretty much almost every day?
Oh, absolutely every day, even Christmas Day.
Okay.
So a lot of children will be released on Christmas Eve, but they have to resume treatment on Christmas Day. And so it's our pilots.
You're picking the kids up on Christmas Day, are you?
Yeah, Christmas night, we'll pick them up and bring them back in for treatment.
Really?
And it seems like a lot of effort, and you think, but if you haven't had a lot of good memories that year, if you have been separated from your family for long periods of time, if you just actually need something to lift your spirits so you can get through the next 12 months, that one day is so important to that child and that whole family. And so for us, it's worth it.
What's it like in the hospitals on the day, do you know? All the kiddies there together?
I think a lot of people go to a lot of effort to bring a bit of joy to Christmas in the hospitals. Everyone understands it is really challenging, but you're away from home and your child's sick and you're surrounded by buzzers and busy wards, and it's not really Christmas, is it?
No.
We see that too with Mother's Day, mothers in hospital with their child, no one's sort of remembering them, making that little bit of an effort to deliver a gift or to recognise them, some flowers. It means a lot to people. And that's why Christmas drives and, delivering toys to the hospital or getting people home for the one day, it means something to people. They remember that. And I think when you touch every sense, when they feel like they mean something to you, people remember that and they give, and it has that knock-on effect in the different ways that they contribute. But also too, just to keep families going. Like I can't imagine myself being away from home for, 6, 9, 12 months while I'm just solely focused on my child's health.
Absolutely.
It's a very draining process.
Must be a good reason to get out of bed in the morning then, Claire, to do what you do.
I am so lucky to do what I do. It actually never feels like work to me, like genuinely. I feel like it's just part of my purpose, part of my personal investment in the community, because I want to give back. I want to do something with my time that genuinely makes a difference. And I want my kids to see that.
Yeah.
Kids today, including my kids, have so much. Like they're so lucky. And I think we also have to balance that and say that's not the case for everyone. And if you give, you should, if you're going to give, you should get as well. Yep. So that circular process is so important. So taking them down to the hangar and seeing the plane and I remember my boys came down. We had a young boy called Caleb. He had an incurable brain tumour. And we're flying him back and forth for a trial from Queensland. And I brought my sons in to see him with permission from the family, and my sons love to draw, and they were drawing with him and joking. And he walked on the plane, just like any other child. But when he left, my son said to me, "What's wrong with him? He seems fine." And I said, "That's going to be the last time we see Caleb." Because he'd finished the trial. They couldn't do anything.
Couldn't do it. And
he's just a normal little boy, but he was not going to live much longer, and he didn't.
Sad.
Yeah. And it was a bit of a shock for him to hear that, to know that his brain's not working like mine, but he seems like me.
What do you mean, Mum? What do you mean?
Yeah, how can that be? But that is people's reality, and I think we need to be honest with kids and talk about those hard topics as well. Plus, I'm away a lot, so I have a lot of guilt, and I want them to understand that. You
are away a lot, are you?
I'm away a lot. Yeah, for sure.
How much?
Well, probably 50% of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
And what do you do there? What is that, out meeting parents? Is that out catching up with the councils and telling everybody what could be done? Or what are you doing?
Yeah, it's all of the above. It's hosting.
About raising money.
It's talking to people to understand issues. It's about education. It's about creating content and stories so people understand what we're trying to achieve.
Okay.
It's about connecting with people that may not know about us. It's about saying thank you. Going to see the people that donate to us to say thank you. Did you know you had this impact? And I think saying thank you is really underestimated. Every donation we get, I get an email and I personally send a thank you to them. That is really important to me, because whether it's $1 or $100 or $1,000 or $1 million, it's still a big offer for someone. They've worked hard for that money, and I think the least you can do is say thank you. And so, if we're going to Forbes, we're like, who else can we see in Forbes? Let's go and see the farmers. Let's go and see the families that have finished. Let's go and see the local club who donated. Yeah. So,
and then you get to give a speech that night somewhere as well?
And then you give a speech, you talk.
Or attend a dinner or attend a function?
Everything. If they'll have me, I'm there. And that's
a pretty exhausting role then too.
Yeah, that's part of the not-for-profit though, you know what I mean? I think if any job...
I think everybody does know what you mean, actually.
Really?
Well, it's a lot to do, isn't it?
It is a lot to do. It is a lot to do. And you always want to do more. You've always got a running list of things you'd like to be doing and you can't get to, or projects you know are there and you can't fund. Like, that's always in the back of your mind. You know, you hear a lot of things, a lot of struggles that you can't action. And then others you get lucky and you do. One that comes to mind is a few years ago, we were hearing a lot of stories of kids, particularly with amputations or physical changes to their body, particularly after cancer, enough, in remission, finally going home, going back to school and bullied.
And bullied?
Bullied really badly.
Yeah, right.
And so they were dropping out because your resilience is zero. You've got nothing left in the tank.
Yep.
And when we did some research on it, we saw there was a lot of research and courses and information for the sick child to return, but there wasn't a lot to prepare the healthy students for how their friend was going to return. And so we created a program, exactly that, free resource for schools to use if they have any child returning that has been sick or off school for long periods of time.
Yeah, right.
It aligns with the national curriculum, run it with their PDHD subjects for 10 weeks. And it has all the resources there, digital resources, workbooks, and they can just download it and use it to help them guide healthy students, give them some of the language and the tools to realise their friend is going to be changed forever. You know, if you've been in hospital with adults
but kids can be the worst to each other too, right?
They can.
Yeah, right.
But I think sometimes that's a bit of an armour of things that look different. It's almost instinctual. So if we're telling them and talking to them, I feel like kids are a little bit more accepting and they have some of the language. And I think too, it's okay to say to people, it's all right if you've changed and you're not friends anymore, but just be kind about it.
Yep.
You don't have to be nasty. And so we had a lot of that sort of content in that project.
So where did this all begin? Who started this whole concept off?
Little Wings was started by one man who had shares in a plane, a pilot, and every 8 weeks he would get access to that plane. He and his wife would go for a little joy flight for the week and be done. And they thought, surely we could do something better with our fuel and our time. They knew someone at the oncology unit at Westmead, and they said, if anyone needs a lift every 8 weeks, let us know. And of course, every 8 weeks, someone needed a lift. And that's where Little Wings was born. He knew another pilot who said, yeah, sure, I'll help. And before they knew it, they were doing one a week.
Wow.
And we currently do about 80 a week.
All right. So tell us some stories about the people who work there.
Well, I think the special thing about Little Wings is because we are volunteer-led, every single person that's there wants to be there.
Yep.
And they're all motivated by different things. Some people just love aviation and they want to fly. And when they start flying and
they're young people or older people, retired, they send me
all over
at the end of their flying career, but,
We deliberately try to have across the flying lifespan because they have different goals and they move on at different times in their lives. So we have some that are flight instructors, some are flying for the big airlines, some are retired, international and domestic as well. So we've got a great span. We've got 26 pilots in total, ranging in age from 24 through to 65.
Okay.
And only 2 females at the moment. That's always that's pretty accurate reflection of the industry, though in aviation about 5% are female.
Okay.
But we're so lucky to have the people that we have because they typically do about 1 mission a week, so they donate a lot of time. And
then you've got the people who take them from the airplane, I guess, to the hospital, give their time up as well?
Absolutely. So all the drivers donate their time. They meet them at the hangar, drive them to their hospital or their accommodation. And I think that's where some of the real magic happens because what do you do when you're in the car? You chat.
You have a chat.
So often drivers will come back and they'll know if the family's had a good day, if they've had great news, if they've having a struggle or a bad day. And that helps us try to fill those gaps as well. So if we know there's a bit of financial pressure, we can issue food vouchers or clothing vouchers so they can purchase things from their local Woolworths or Big W.
Yep.
Prams, laptops, trampolines for therapy at home. We work really hard with our sponsors to try and fill those gaps so that families get that real wraparound support.
Who's the sponsors?
Our key sponsors are Bankstown Sports Club, have been with us since the beginning.
Good on them.
Hyundai Help for Kids give us all our vehicles and turn them over every sort of 50,000
so they're like Hyundai's in the sky, not Toyotas.
That's right. They are with us. So true. I'll probably get in trouble for that. Mounties has just come on board, which is another club.
Yep.
We've got Bankstown Airport.
Yep.
And we have...
You haven't got the big corporate. What about the big corporates?
St. George Bank.
St. George Bank are on board, are they?
Yes. So St George came on board during COVID when we actually lost all our funding. It was either frozen or stopped. And St George came in and supported us and kept us going. We were going to hibernate during that time without them. So that was a really important partnership and one that's continued since.
So how much money are you spending a year?
It costs us about $6 million a year to run our organisation.
That's pretty reasonable, bearing in mind what you're achieving.
I feel like it is, but it's a mighty mission to raise it, I have to tell you.
Yeah, well, no, that would be. Absolutely would be.
Yeah, so you do watch every dollar. I mean, I think you do become a lot more conscious on how you spend that money, which is so important when you work in a not-for-profit, to spend it like it's almost your own, not waste it, be smart about it, be innovative. If you can get it for free first and redirect funds to fuel or maintenance. So you are always looking at how you can correct the balance sheet, how you can save money, redirect it to areas that are needed. But yeah, it's a big effort. You're constantly thinking about how to raise funds.
Okay. And if you have the big plan, would you take it all around Australia, or what is the 10-year play?
I think the Eastern Seaboard is our focus.
Yeah, okay.
Little Wings has only grown because of demand. It hasn't grown because we want to be the biggest. It's just grown because there's a need there that no one's currently filling. And so if the need is there, then I'm sure the board would consider it. I'd love to go to the Northern Territory because I know how big the need is there.
How big is it?
It's significant. There's a lot of kids there that have never seen a doctor, particularly in the top end. We see that in Queensland as well, that children having hearing issues or permanent deafness because of a simple, hearing infection.
Yeah.
Which
is all preventable, right?
All preventable. We had this week. We talked.
Terrible. We're supposed to be a first world nation.
The discrepancy and the inequality in healthcare in our country is shameful.
You believe that, do you?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is shameful. And we've had doctors come out with us into the regions and tell us it's like visiting a third world country.
Really?
Shocking. So even just this week, we took out some optometrists to a school in Mildura.
Yep.
And there were kids there.
Which is not that far away, for goodness sake.
That's right. Yeah. There were kids there, 50%. That were legally blind, had never been assessed, no glasses. And then they wonder why there's so many behavioural issues, why kids have anxiety, why they're not engaged, why there's social problems, crime. They can't see properly.
Yeah, right.
And so the very basics of engaging in education, which is fundamental to, being a positive contributing member of society, aren't there. They can't possibly. So we took a team out, everyone was assessed, everyone's getting a free pair of prescription glasses. They're currently in production now. They'll be there within 3 weeks. So that will change the game for kids in terms of their ability to connect, to communicate, to focus, to concentrate.
Yep.
Just basic things that you and I do every day. They don't have the luxury of that. And that's just simply not fair.
So what's it like out in the bush for the kids?
It depends where you go. If you're going to some of the bigger hubs, Port Macquarie, Coffs Harbour, Dubbo, they have more resources there, but they still have huge waiting lists. To see a paediatrician in Dubbo is over 2 years. And more than that.
Over 2 years?
Over 2 years. And more than that, they've closed their books to new referrals. So if you're currently not on the waiting list.
Are you serious?
This is what I mean. These are things people don't realise. But then if you go to Walgett, Burke, Wilcannia,
no.
There's not even a GP. So you've got 3,000 people there. There's no oncologist. There's no GP. There's no dentist. There's no optometrist. There's no pediatrics of any sort. And if you don't have a car or you're a single parent or you don't drive,
there's a lot of single parents there surely, isn't there?
So many. So many. It's a lot of pressure.
So it's completely broken and it's never going to get repaired.
That's right. It is hard. I don't say never be repaired, but I think we're just putting so many Band-Aids everywhere.
Yep. Oh, because it's political win.
It's just so frustrating.
Just shove the frust, it's my Band-Aid I get to put on. Yeah. I get a photo with it at the same time, of course. But there's no real concentration done properly.
And the last 2 years we've had support from the current state government through the health minister, which has been so great.
So is this the first time Little Wings has had support?
Ever.
Okay.
Yes. But every year I've got to fight for it. It's like you can see the impact. You can see the need. You can see the solution. Why are you making me fight every year? Can't we just say this works and fund it?
Yep.
We only ask for $600,000 a year.
Okay, so it's not millions or anything like that?
It's $600,000 a year from the state government, which is a lot to us, I have to tell you. It is a lot to us. It has a big impact. We make it go far. But we know in the scheme of things for the government, that is not a lot of money. And they could never deliver that service that we provide on $600,000. They just couldn't. We have free pilots. We have discounted fuel. We have all of these things that come to us because we're a charity. The government wouldn't be able to do that. But we're also efficient and we're safe and we've got a great track record and we've got great relationships and community. And all of these things are so important. So we talk about the strategy, we talk about infrastructure, we talk about funding, but let's talk about innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about not continually trying to recreate the wheel and go, actually, what's working? Can we just connect with that? Can we expand and build on those services?
So why aren't they coming to the party?
I'm not sure. It's really hard with government. I think they want to do the right thing. I do. And I think the health minister, the health minister genuinely wants to see health shift and change and support people in the city and in the bush. I do. But the budgets are so tight and so every dollar is so closely monitored. But at some point, we're just going to have to say healthcare matters and we're going to pay for it.
Well, or otherwise we are going to pay for it massively, aren't we?
Yeah, you're going to pay for it long term. And it's just not fair to have services in the city and not the bush. We need people in the bush. We need them to run our farms and provide our food, to run our country in the background.
Yep.
But people are going to leave in droves if their basic necessities like healthcare isn't provided.
What's your best stories you've seen?
Oh, the best stories. I mean, I
can see the disappointing stories, but gosh, there must be some great stories.
So many great stories. We have a driver, Jeff. He's done something like 1,800 missions. He's like the godfather of Little Wings. And his favourite thing to say to a child is, I hope I never see you again.
Yeah.
And it's sort of that bittersweet moment, you know what I mean? But I'm thinking about a young boy, 15-year-old in Armidale, had a tumour the size of a basketball in his chest.
Wow.
Flew with Little Wings every single week for 6 months. Were able to shrink it, went into remission. He's back at school. And on the day that he flew out for his last flight with Little Wings, his last chemotherapy dose, we had Pole Air come out from the airport. We had the airport come out. They all waved him off, hundreds of people just championing him. And his mum, she was just so emotional about it because I think the parent is holding so much tight.
Of course they are.
And
petrified too.
And also just like, what if I don't get to take him home? Like that is something they have to really grapple with.
That's right.
This may not work.
Well, his chances would have been pretty slim, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's right. So to see him thriving and hearing he's doing so well, we've had a few with transplants as well.
Have you?
Yeah, some not done so well and they continue to fly and they have to, continue to have treatment. But some have gone on. We just had one turn 21. Her mum wrote us a letter saying how well she'd done. A few months ago, I was in Tamworth and I must have been on the phone and the driver, when he dropped me off, he said, I heard you work at Little Wings. And I said, yeah, I do. Have you heard of Little Wings? And he said, you saved my baby. She had a heart problem and you flew me back and forth from the city when she wasn't well enough to travel after her open heart surgery. And when she was well enough for the next 2 years, you flew us in and out of Tamworth so she could have the care she needed. And now she's at school. She's doing so well. She plays basketball. He's showing me photos on his phone. These are real people with real stories who were really scared that their child was not going to survive because they didn't have a doctor in their town. I mean, these are simple solutions. We're not rocket science at Little Wings. We're a simple mission with a simple delivery. Let's pick you up. Let's get you to hospital. Let's get you home to rest and recover. And let's do it for as long as you need.
Yeah.
We're there for the long haul. It is a long process, but
absolutely.
Worth it. If this was your child or your brother or your wife, you'd want the same care.
Absolutely you would.
And not only that, you'd expect it. You're paying the taxes for those services, but so are the people in the bush.
Yes.
They do not have the same access to healthcare. It's actually, as I said, it's shameful. It is not fair, it is not reasonable, and it has to change.
What is out in the bush in terms of the actual, okay, you gave me a couple of areas, but in general it's just queues or there's no real support? Like, I thought young doctors are supposed to be rotated out their early day in their career. That's not the case?
Well, I think there are hospitals with doctors going out.
Yeah.
But when they're in the system, that system is jam-packed. Right. So, if you need to see a specialist, long waiting lists or not accepting them. We also see families present at the emergency department, which redirects doctors from the wards into the emergency because families don't know what else to do.
Yep.
But, sometimes there's no doctors there for 3 or 4 days of the week. I'm thinking of a little boy named Heath. He had burns. His family's home was burnt down.
Right.
And they moved into a caravan on the property in West Wyalong.
Mm-hmm.
Heath was learning to walk, and of course he was pulling himself up on furniture.
Oh, no.
And he pulled a vaporizer onto himself, which was operating. So that fell onto his torso, completely fused his fingers together. And Mum Emily scooped him up, took him to the local hospital. There was a nurse and a receptionist there, and they said there won't be a doctor here for 3 days. We suggest, because you don't meet some of the criteria for other emergency services, jump in your car and drive 6.5 hours to Westmead Children's Hospital. We'll let them know you're on your way. And that's what she did. It's hard to drive for 6.5 hours with a healthy child.
Yeah.
A child that's screaming, who's in pain, who's distressed. I can't even imagine how she got there without having an accident, without, causing some serious issue to someone else on the road as well, or hitting an animal when you're driving through the night.
Yep. Yes, of course.
These are real risks.
Yeah, exactly. It's an emergency. You're not going to mess around, are you?
Yeah, that's right. So and you don't think, you just do.
Yeah.
This is what they told me, that's what I'm going to do. Luckily Heath then was referred to us. He did 32 missions with us, flying back and forth for surgery and skin grafts and a whole range of therapies. And he doesn't need us anymore.
Yeah.
We see him, Mum tag us when he had his first day of school, or when he rides a motorbike or rides a horse for the first time, and she tags us because we build real relationships, because it is over a long period of time and a really intense period of someone's life, and they rely on you so heavily. A lot of the children we support are immune compromised, so they may not see anyone else except the staff at Little Wings and the staff at the hospital for long periods. And so you do become like an extension of that experience for them, and it has a deep impact on their family story.
What about the impact on your family?
The impact on my family is real, I have to say. When you work in a not-for-profit, I've only worked in not-for-profit, so it's really my only reference, but it is something you believe in with your whole body, and your whole family makes a commitment to help you in that role. When I, see my husband have to juggle his schedule so that I can be away and look after the kids, you miss things at
50%
school.
of the time.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. And I mean, you just do it, and it's just part of what, you want to do well at home, but you also want to do well at work, because both fill your cup, But it does have an impact on your whole family. So you really have to have that discussion. This is what this job's going to look like. This is why I want to do it. This is how it contributes and what I think it supports the community, but also us, how it fills our cup. And when your cup is full, you're a better mum as well. You're a better wife. You're a better friend, because you're loving what you're doing.
Are you seeing, is there more people coming to not-for-profits, Claire, or is it less, or has anything changed over your period of time?
What I see so often is people from the corporate space wanting to make a jump across to the not-for-profit.
Yep.
And we interview them and they seem great. And when they get in there, they leave pretty quick. Because not-for-profits require you to wear a lot of hats. They require a lot of juggling. It's not a neat 9 to 5. There's not an IT department.
Yep.
There's not an accounts department. It's like work it out, take it to the finance.
You are the marketing department.
That's right. That's right. And so people say to me, oh, who does your socials? I'm like, that's me. Oh, who wrote this funding grant? That was me. Who did this impact report? That was me. What do you need? I'll do it for you. And that is just the reality. We had someone come to us with all the right intentions, and we were moving office. And we had to pack our own desk. She just started, so she didn't have much stuff. And I said, if you could just take your chair with you, then we'll do the rest, because you just started. And she said, oh no, I don't carry furniture.
Don't carry furniture. That's the limit.
Yeah, and I said,
You've gone beyond the limit here, Claire.
That's right. I was like, I'm taking my chair in my car. I'm carrying the chair. She was like, yeah, but that's not in my job description. I don't do that. And I was like, okay.
You didn't look at page 222 of the job description.
And I was like,
all right.
If you won't do that.
Yeah, what will you do?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I will kill myself trying to fill every opportunity that comes through. Like I'll be like, fit it in, make it work. Like, we've got to do it. Let's do it. Sometimes it looks like, why are you doing that?
Yep.
We had a request from a school for me to go and talk to them.
Do you do a lot of that?
A lot of that.
Yeah,
I talk to a lot of schools.
Good on you.
I think that's so important to take kids on the journey. They are the next generation. They're going to be people that lead. They're going to be affected by these diseases. Yep. They need to be able to empathise, to understand, and hopefully in the roles they're in to make generous donations, to contribute, to volunteer. And so I want to talk to them. But, I turned up at this school. I just turned up. I didn't ask even why. I just said, who am I talking to? How many students? They said, you're talking to the whole school, private school. We don't get a lot of private schools. So I was
you
like,
don't?
No. So I was like, okay.
Well, should we remind them now, shouldn't we?
We should.
I wonder why they don't.
Maybe they just don't know about us.
Yeah, maybe.
Usually it's a student that triggers it if we do.
Yeah, a lot of private schools have kids from the bush.
That's absolutely right. It's so
Interesting.
true.
Okay, all right.
So I go down to Canberra, just drove down for the day, speak to the whole school, and I played a video. I always play a video to show them one of the family stories.
And you probably made the video yourself, did you?
We did, yes, of course. And at the end, I said, are there any questions? And this boy stood up and he said, I just wanted to let you know that I was the one that invited you here. And the reason is that boy in the video who died, he was my best friend. And I thought, you know what?
No, that's pretty...
You never know. You never know who you've touched, how you've touched, and what it meant to him to see his friend.
Actually said that.
He said that. And then that school went on to raise...
That must have split you in half, wouldn't it?
Oh, it was I was shocked. I was really shocked, but I was so grateful that I just did it. I just showed up. And, we're recently in Parliament House, and that was the one thing I said. I was like, if you're going to say that country people matter, if you're going to say that healthcare is a priority, someone has to show up.
Yeah. You
have to show up so people believe in what you're selling.
Yeah, agreed.
And so sometimes you just show up. You just talk to people where they are. And that's why, sending a thank you message if someone makes a donation, showing up at a school if they invite you. No donation is too small. No effort is too little. So I think sometimes that is taxing, yes. But at the end of the day, I think that is what is the difference between Little Wings and corporates or larger charities. We show up and we see where it leads, because I think all leads will lead to greatness and goodness and kindness if you've put in the effort as well.
How long have you been doing the job for?
6 years this month.
Okay, so what did you inherit when you first came?
Actually, Little Wings was in great shape when I started, but we were small, less than $1 million a year, one plane, 2 vehicles.
Oh, it's only one plane then, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've had a lot of growth since then.
Yeah, good on you.
But it was a little charity doing great things with great potential.
Yeah.
I probably underestimated how great the need was, just in my naivety. But as I started...
Yeah, but you've also spread the word at the same time, right?
That's right. And as you do that, you learn. You know what I mean? During COVID, we introduced the Medical Wings program, which is where we take doctors out to do these clinics.
Oh, do you do a lot of that?
We do. We do about 8 clinics a week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All over the place. And they're regular, so that's really important, that consistency, showing up, building relationships, particularly in Indigenous communities where they have been let down by a lot of government services or a lot of medical services. That consistency is very key.
Yeah, okay.
But we actually thought that program was just going to be for a year, just to, the healthcare system, the whole landscape of Australia was changing. We're just like, let's just have a solution here, make sure our patients can get the care they need while the lockdowns are on. That was our only motivation.
Okay.
But as we started going out, we actually started to understand the desperation in the bush to see paediatricians in particular, but any sort of specialist for their kids. We look at Coonabarabran, there's a waiting list.
Coonabarabran, so my grandmother came from.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you're striking a lot of home chords here.
Yeah.
Go on, yeah.
Well, there's a waiting list there of 300 children to see a paediatrician, and they stopped making referrals 2 years ago. So it's probably closer to double. But this is everywhere. When I look at Walgett, 100 kids on the waiting list for a paediatrician. Burke, 200 kids on the waiting list to see a paediatrician. They're massive, massive numbers, and they're just silently suffering. And so, of course, these situations escalate. If they've got behaviours, they become more violent, they harm themselves, they have accidents because they take more risks, whatever it might be. They present at ED. Then the system gets jammed up. Kids are sent away.
What is ED, sorry?
The emergency department.
Right, okay, right.
What we need to do is have preventative treatment. Parents know their kids best. If there's a problem, if there's a gut instinct that there's a concern here, let's make sure they can get them on a waiting list nice and quick, see a paediatrician, be identified, and unlock some of the services and funding that is actually available. Huge amounts of the NDIS funding and services that actually are available.
They're not being used accordingly?
They're not being used because they don't have the diagnosis. And they don't have a diagnosis because no paediatricians can get there or will go there or are funded to go there, or it's just not a priority. And so that is what we try to do. We try to make sure that if there's a specialist willing to go, that we connect them with those locations, make it free, no gap, only Medicare charges, bulk billing.
Okay.
Making sure that it's triage, but that no child is left behind.
Yep.
A lot of government programs in particular are only to 12. So only primary kids.
Oh, right.
So if kids aren't identified and diagnosed in the primary years, what they're a write-off from 13? They're done?
A lot happens during those next few years, does it not?
Exactly.
Particularly young girls.
Yeah, that is for sure. Good luck if you've got girls. But, then we wonder why there's crime. We wonder why kids aren't engaged, why they're not getting jobs, why there's, increasing reliance on welfare.
Yes.
But if they couldn't focus in school because they weren't well or their mind was chaotic or they couldn't see or their tooth hurt because they had a toothache and no dental or they can't hear. Like, these are just basic things. Like, let's make sure that people have the necessities, the bare necessities, not luxuries, just bare necessities to see everyone thrive. Everyone wants the best for their kids. And I've seen this in so many countries, not just Australia, So I'm
going to ask you a bit about your career in a second, but go on.
Yeah, but when I've been working in other countries, particularly third world countries, that is the one thing that connects people, is that everyone wants the best for their kids.
Of course you do.
Of course, it's just instinctual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But some people cannot.
It must be heartbreaking that you can't deliver it.
So heartbreaking. So heartbreaking.
Right? It's humiliating almost, right?
Yeah. And to walk away from someone who's asked for help, for me, that is the hardest thing. Like, it just lingers in my mind and I think I've got to do more. Why? I can't just leave this person. That's how my mind works.
Okay.
Which, of course, you can't save everyone, but when you step back, you see this is not
one
person.
You can try your best.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And, if you leave the world in a little bit of a better place for one person is better than nothing, right?
So getting the specialist, Claire, so you like you say, you're taking these specialists out quite a few times now. Mm-hmm. Any problem getting them?
Yes, of course. Of course. Everything's a problem. Greg, give me a break.
Right, okay. Really that hard, is it?
It's so hard. It's so hard. I think people
they don't have the time, not enough dough in it for them, all the above, or?
The money doesn't seem to be so much of an issue.
I wouldn't have thought so when you're doing something like this, would you?
Yeah, I think it's just time and also to just getting in front of them. There's a lot of gatekeepers getting in front of a paediatrician or a paediatric specialist so that they even know. So what we ask for is for medical specialists, if they're willing, to go out and give us 1 day a month.
That's great, because the challenge you got, just come back to you earlier, said you get the paediatrician or you get the specialist, they've got to build a relationship with that child, don't they?
That's right.
So the child doesn't want to see another one the next time round.
And it's almost traumatic retelling your story every time.
Yes.
And so you can't progress past that first.
What happened here, little one?
Yeah.
Right.
And people do feel very judged. They're very skeptical until they build that relationship. And so if there's been an injury, we have a lot of families are very fearful that it wasn't good enough parenting. But if it was, if it was an affluent person in the city, like it was an accident.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was an accident, but it's also an accident in the bush. They just do a lot more outdoor activities. You know what I mean? They ride motorbikes, horses, they climb trees. They're outside all the time.
Yeah.
And accidents happen. Kids are curious and they, do silly things until their brain's fully developed. But there is a lot of concern. There's a lot of judgment. We see that a lot with Indigenous families. If they have to come into the hospital, they're very concerned. Are you going to come back and take me home? And we say, we're going to be here. We're going to take you home. And remind them and reassure them of that. Even just walking them into the hospital to hand them over to their social worker or the doctor, that's a really important part if someone's been scared to go to hospital, who's never been, who's heard a lot of traumatic stories pass through the generations.
Yeah.
That actually lives in your bones. That is something that doesn't leave you because there have been stories that are passed down intergenerationally and you don't have anything to combat it. You've never had a positive experience yourself. Maybe you've never seen a doctor yourself. Then suddenly you have to go to hospital in a city you've never been to, in a system that's government funded that you don't know what's going to happen with your child. Like there's just so many barriers. There's so many fears and they're real for parents.
Mm. So where'd you grow up, Claire?
I grew up in Foster.
Okay, so you're from, countryside.
Country town, yeah. If you say that out in Dubbo, though, they'll tell you it's coastal.
That's right. Well, it is coastal.
It's coastal.
Come on, it's a nice part of the world.
And look, it's quick to get there now, I tell you, but it used to be a 6-hour journey with an ice cream bucket on your lap. You know what I mean? When I took those Bulladella curves, every time I was sick. So for me, I just think it was so far away. But it was far away. It was, closest town was Newcastle. It was a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
We have a very small hospital there. My mum was a nurse, so I spent a lot of time at the
Mum's
hospital.
a nurse, is she?
Yeah, my dad's a teacher, so very salt of the earth, very involved in community. I can't remember a time when I wasn't fundraising or, doing talks or educating people. It's just been part of my DNA.
So what did you study at uni?
I always thought I was going to be a kindergarten teacher, and then once I started, I thought, I've got a bit more in me here. And I went on to train as a clinical psychologist specialising in child and adolescent welfare.
All right. And you've done some pretty interesting things during your career.
I try.
Yeah. What's been some of the most interesting ones? Because you've been around different parts of the world.
Yeah, I think I worked at a small charity called Project Futures.
Saw that.
And I did that role very deliberately. I wanted to learn how to take over from a founder. So the founder was ready to retire. So that was a really interesting learning curve for me, the differences in a founder and I suppose a person who's evolved in the role as opposed to someone who's trained and experienced in a CEO position. There was a lot of learnings that we had from each other and we worked together. But really the interesting part was that it was an organisation that was supporting victims of anti-sex trafficking.
Talk a bit about that, right? I was reading your background and as you know, one of my researchers from the team started putting this together. And I looked at it and I said, man, this woman's something special. Well, you've exposed yourself and that's pretty horrendous stuff that you've been across. Particularly children being hurt all the time. How do you do it?
Yeah, that was a hard one. I wasn't directly involved with service delivery there. Instead, I would go across. I'd do a lot of the debriefing.
Yeah, but you're going to hear about it all and everything else, right?
Yeah. I think, when you train as a psychologist, you have an armour up. You're trained to have that armour to protect yourself.
So you can keep it up?
So you definitely can. But in that role, I think it was the first time that I sort of perforated that armour,
So how bad is it?
It was bad. We had a little girl there. She wouldn't have been more than 18 months old. They did a raid on the brothel and they took a whole heap of kids that came into the centre that we were caring for them at. And, she still doesn't speak, that little girl. She had incredible internal damage. She'll never have children. She'll never know her name.
18, how old? 18.
18 months old.
What's an animal does that?
It really just does rattle your belief in humanity.
Yeah.
Like, who is this person? What are they doing? But we'd spend a lot of time down in the brothels with women that were still enslaved. Most of them have HIV.
And where was this at?
In Cambodia.
Yeah.
And we saw, we saw a lot of women breastfeeding their children knowing they're on HIV medication.
Oh, no, really?
But that medication was sent over, expired medication from the US that those women thought was working, but it wasn't. It wasn't working and they were infecting their babies. And it's really hard to have that conversation with someone because, as I said earlier, they want the best for their baby. They don't want them, to be sick either. But at the end of the day, their baby's crying and your instinct is to feed them and you have nothing. We would take formula and things like that, ready-made formulas that they could just open up and it was sort of ready to go, a once-off feed. But once it runs out, what do? You're not there every day. And also too, the men that own these women would use that as a bargaining tool to threaten and force them to do things they didn't want to do. But, it was really horrendous.
Because the families then, if they ever made it back, just don't necessarily support them either, do they?
Oh, no, they're shunned from the community. So they're really at a loss, those women. They have some unusual sort of techniques over there to help rehabilitate them. Not wrong, just different to how we would do it here. It's almost like a rebirth where they get them to take a new name and to reinvent themselves in a lot of ways. And that's in hope that they'll be able to assimilate back into community and go on to live a normal life. The epitome is to get married, to be accepted by, their partner's family. That is what they really, really want to happen, and to belong is the most important thing. But the stories are gut-wrenching. The things you see are, you realise how sheltered and how lucky you are. And I don't use the word privilege lightly, but I realised how privileged I was because the things I was seeing and hearing I'd never imagined, I'd never heard of. I remember we had a big influx of young girls come in and they'd been trafficked across the border for baby farming.
For baby farming?
Baby farming. And
so what do you mean by that?
Well, exactly. I don't know what that means. What does that even mean? So basically they traffic them across from about 12 or 13 and then they rape them and impregnate them. And then the baby they sell. And then they rape them and they impregnate them. And the baby they sell. So some of these girls...
because what, people want to adopt kids?
Or they want to traffic them.
You're kidding.
No. this is what I mean. These are things that are happening in the world that you don't realise that I could never have even imagined that. But these were real people's stories. And so you'd have a 15, 16, 17-year-old girl. She's had 3 or 4 kids. She doesn't know where they are. She's never seen them. So maybe they went into a loving home. I mean, that's what we like to think. But
yeah, for utopia there.
Yeah.
How long did you do that for?
I did it for 2 years.
Yeah. Why'd you do it?
I did it because I'm really passionate about looking after children and families.
It's consistent throughout your CV.
Yeah, that is something that really motivates me and keeps me moving forward. And I'd never worked internationally, and so I like that new challenge, but it did expose me to a lot of things that I didn't anticipate. A lot of great things as well. I met incredible survivors who are working in the industry. I rode a bike 400 kilometres across the country many times, leading young people and raising money, which I haven't ridden a bike 10 years before and I haven't ridden one since.
Okay.
But I was doing that on a regular basis, going over there and doing this 400 kilometre treks. Yeah. I did think I was going to be effortless up the front, but I was a hot mess in the back.
There's a few potholes on the way in some of those roads as well,
Shocking.
Beautiful country.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
But they say it's flat. It's not exactly flat if you're on a bike, just FYI. But they're beautiful people in Cambodia, such gentle souls.
Yeah.
It's a country with a lot of corruption, and it grates on you that you can't move forward because, you're one step forward. You're literally 10 back all the time, just fighting all the time because the government is not really interested in those girls or women.
No.
They're not really
Keep
interested.
them out of the press.
Yeah. And they're not interested on the issue of sex trafficking. That's not a priority for them.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, isn't it?
It's hard to believe. And it just...
Now, that's just one country. Imagine how many others are like it.
Yeah. It's an industry that has a lot of turnover. People are very passionate about it. But
but they're damaged as a result, aren't you? Or you can't do it for too long, can you?
It lingers for sure. And you have to know in yourself when to leave. I mean, for me, the trigger was not quite the issue itself, but that I was away a lot in Cambodia and I had a child at home. He was only 2 at the time. And
oh, wow, really?
It was a lot for him and my husband and my mother-in-law who was helping me so much. And so when I fell pregnant with my second child, I decided that I would resign as opposed to just taking leave because I knew it wasn't sustainable for me to be going overseas all the time. And also too, when you come back, it takes you 2-4 weeks to sort of get back in.
It does.
Into the headspace and realize that's not your life, that you live this life and you have to be present in it and not continually thinking about those girls that are over there living.
Still think about them?
Yeah, you do definitely
Flashbacks.
Think about them. Yeah, they do come up for sure.
What was the next big gig?
That was the last one before Little Wings, but I got my first role in a not-for-profit CEO disability service.
Mm-hmm.
That had many challenges. You're never ready for your first CEO role. You don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned so much in that role and I have a real soft spot for people with a disability.
All right. So what did you have to do in that role?
So I came into a situation, that organisation was not in a good space. It was about to be closed down. It had a lot of fraud.
So who's the organisation?
It was a service called ShareCare.
Yeah.
It's now amalgamated. But I was there for 6 years and it was something I was really proud of in the end. We worked really hard to have a positive impact on those kids and those families in Liverpool, Campbelltown and Bankstown.
Yeah, so what they had disabilities from ranging in what?
Oh, every sort of disability you can imagine, from physical to mental, medical issues, and a lot of complex family situations in those sort of regions as well.
Yep.
When I started, we had 37 families a day, and when I left, we had 600 families a day. So we had a lot of growth.
Support by the government there, or is it all not-for-profit?
I'd just taken them through the first year of the switch to the NDIS, but before that it was government funded. So
how's it go from 37 to 600?
I think
obviously good word's getting out.
Yeah, definitely. When you invest in your staff, when you have good trained staff that are really there for the right reasons, when you have programs that are effective and reflect personal interests and are working on building strengths, not just, I saw a lot of people with disabilities just come together and they're just there for 6 hours and there's not a lot of engagement. There's not a lot of progression or opportunity. And no matter how disabled you might be, there's always an opportunity to learn something and to connect with someone. And I think that is lost a lot in the industry. I like to think it has potentially change now. But when I was in that space, I was not seeing a lot of that. And that's what we did differently. The first thing we'd ask people when they came to us is, tell us about your child. What are they like? Who are they? And sometimes that's hard for people to answer because no one's asked them. No one's interested. Like, what's your package? What days do you need? This was the sort of conversations people were having. But that's someone's child. Like, let's take a little bit of care. Let's be a little bit interested in them as a human being.
Yeah, but how did you change the culture then? So that was the culture. Was it the culture beforehand?
No, that was not.
So it was always a good culture?
No, when I started, it was not. It had a lot of issues. It should have been closed down, if I'm honest.
Right.
But we had 37 families there, and I just couldn't bear the thought.
So it's on its last legs, right? Okay, yeah.
And I was brought onto the board. I'd been on the board for maybe 6 months just to help them through that phase.
Right.
And then I decided I'd try and run for the role. 6 men and me interviewed, and I thought, oh my God, I'm never going to get this job. But they did. They gave me that job, and I worked hard in that role. If I didn't know it, I sought out the information, mentors, and
how do you lead through a process like that?
Well, you show up for sure. There were many nights I slept at work, or I had to run the program myself, or had to drive the bus myself. I think you never ask anyone to do anything you haven't or wouldn't be willing to do.
That's the oldest line in the book. Is that really true, is it?
It's true. It is true. When people see you show up, they see you get changed out of your corporate gear and get on the floor and come and help. If it's personal care, if it's an outing, if it's driving the bus, people are more inclined to give you a little bit more.
How do you select good people? Because I suspect and sometimes there's a lot of people willing to help and maybe not that good. They're just really nice people to help, but not that effective in some cases, right? So you've got to be pretty brutal in that regard too, don't you?
Yeah.
Or you categorise differently, I assume.
I think it just depends what you need. Like if you're looking at a specific skill, like you need someone in the finance department, you need someone to lead a program, they have to be skilled and they have to demonstrate
they can all pick their chair up one day.
That's right. That's right. Are you willing to assist us with whatever it takes?
Yeah, that's right.
I talk about that, whatever it takes, and people say, oh yeah, I'm with you, whatever it takes. But it's like, are you really willing? It's actually a rare person that will just do whatever it takes to make sure that's a success. And you almost have to run it like it's your own, So
is that how you do run it?
I do in a lot of ways because I want to believe in what I'm doing, and I want to be connected to what I'm doing, and I want to see an outcome and an impact. And so I do. And I drive that through my team. I want the best people there. I want people that want to be there. Like, don't just be here. It's not a job. Be here because you want to be here. Show up every day because you want to make a difference. They're the people we want. How do you get those skills? That is so hard. But when you find them, you hang on to them. You look after them. And I think that little bit of care, really listening to people, understanding what motivates them. Some of my staff, they value flexibility and being able to work at home or pick up their kids. Great. If you need that, I will give you that. This person works late. They get really fatigued. If I see that in him, I say, go home. Just go home. Just go to sleep. Don't show up tomorrow. Be your best. Come back when you're ready. And people will show up and do the right thing. But you have to know what motivates people. You have to understand who people are and why they're there. And
takes time.
It takes time. It really takes time to understand people. But what is the carrot? What is motivating them? And then you have to tailor that. We talk about equity and equality in the workplace and all these sort of things. But the reality is that it doesn't all look the same for everyone.
Of course it doesn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want me to
tired of those catchwords, to be honest with you.
And it's
I'm
exhausting.
sick of the people writing those damn lines every day of the week.
Yeah, and I just think that's just not realistic.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
What I need to do well in my job is not the same as someone else needs.
Correct.
It's different.
Guess what? You are different.
Yeah, that's right. And so I think obviously this is harder when you have a big team, but I've worked in medium to small charities. I haven't had big teams.
Have you always been charity?
Always charity.
Always charity.
I had one small not-for-profit space, for-profit. And
what did you like it?
I absolutely hated it. I hated it with a vengeance. Oh my God. And I was so bad at it. They were just always like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm supporting this team at the hospital, at the school. And they're just like, why?
We're going to make some money, girl.
And they do the strangest things to motivate. I remember one time they tied all these 50-pound notes around I left with not one 50-pound note. Everyone else had bundles, and I was just like,
You couldn't jump high enough?
It's just not motivating me. I've got other priorities that I want to.
So what motivates you?
I think that genuinely the connection to know that I've made an impact.
That's really buzzes you, does it?
That gets me going. Big time. Big time. I can't even tell you. And it really makes me think, do more, Claire, do more, push harder. Like that narrative is in my head all the time.
Well, what about all the stuff the other word we've got to put up with a lot of the time is how much resilience does the person have? I get sick of that word. It does my head in completely. Yeah. Get up and have a go, right? Yeah. That's probably my DNA. But, do you ever get knocked rotten? You ever feel down? Because you've seen, I've got to make a couple of calls today, or I've got to go and meet someone in corporate Australia. I'm not exposed to sex traffickers. I'm not exposed to little kids who've been tremendously hurt and the mum's, borderline falling apart and putting her on the plane here. And there's a big it's a big day for the family, and it could be very, very sad news at the end of it. That's really, really important stuff compared to, gee whiz, I've got to be really tough to make a couple of calls. Do you get knock rotten?
Not really.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Why not?
You're
exposed to more than most people are.
I think just innately I'm quite optimistic.
I'm sure. So a lot of other people are too.
Yeah, I don't know. I just keep moving forward. I never look back. I keep moving forward. I focus on the task at hand. I believe there's a solution to everything. So I don't really get caught up in that narrative of, this is terrible and I can't fix it and what's going to happen and the world's falling apart. But I do definitely live in my own bubble. So I don't have a lot of knowledge around major, global issues. Like I get the highlights from my husband or my mum around like the war or Donald Trump I just don't have space for that in my life, and I don't want that in my life. I don't want to think about it. I know that sounds so bad. I know because it all has a knock-on effect.
That's how you function. Yeah.
I just think people's mental health is in the toilet because of the news, because of all these horrendous things that are happening, but more than that are out of their control.
Yep.
I try to focus on things I can control, things that I can do to make the situation better, and I can't manage Donald Trump. I think I could if he let me, but I can't fix that situation. And so I don't want to waste any energy on it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to worry about it. I just want to focus on what I can do. And I believe there'll be a solution to whatever challenge is put in front of me.
How do you see the kids out in the bush then? Are they getting hammered all day long by social media, by social psych? You talked about bullying. Bullying doesn't end at school anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Goes all the way home.
Kids everywhere are just so exposed to so many issues, and the whole world is in their iPad. It's in their hand. It's in their phone. There's no escape. I mean, when I think about when I went to school, when I got off the bus, I had a solid 8, 10, 12 hours of a break.
That's right.
They don't have that anymore. These, whatever issues are happening in the world, they're also in their home because they don't escape. They don't put the phone down. There's not enough control or boundaries around these sort of things. And kids just need a mental break. And then put on top of it if they're seriously ill, if they're injured, or they don't, there's a lot of stresses in the family home. These are things, they're big issues for kids to be dealing with, and they're confronted with that now at a very young age.
All right. This is supposed to be a leadership discussion, Claire. So how do you choose people to work for you? No, you wouldn't work for you, work with you.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is.
'Cause you're in your own bubble, so they've got to understand that pretty quick.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is gut instinct, but I have to say I've had a lot of bumps along the way finding good people.
Yep.
People can perform very well in an interview. They can look great on paper, and you get them in the room, like on the job, and a week in, I've made a mistake here. I think take your time to hire, fire fast.
You live by that, do you?
I do. I think it just has to be done. The damage it can cause by having the wrong people in there is tenfold. It doesn't look great. It doesn't feel great.
No.
But you really have to do it because everything can be unwound so quickly with someone who's toxic in there.
Interesting. And how do you go about communicating to your team?
So I'm on the ground a lot. I spend a lot of time with each of them. We have a lot of team meetings, all those standard things. But I think the things that really connect us is every Friday I send a text message.
Here we go.
And I just do a wrap up of the week because I find everyone's so busy and a lot of our team are on the road.
Yep.
Just like, did you know? Did you know we had media this week? Did you know we had a family finish service this week? Did you know we had a new referral? Did you know we were able to issue $5,000 worth of food vouchers this week?
Yep.
I think it's just taking people on the journey so that they know
they're part of it.
That's right. And that's never to be underestimated. If you work in the finance team, you are not just finance. You are keeping everything running so that we have the opportunity to deliver our service. And so you need to feed that back. And I see this a lot with corporates that we work with. Going in and talking to their team and doing a lunch and learn is so important because it's like, hey, you know what? When you work hard, it's not just in the bank or in the supermarket or wherever you're supporting. When you work hard here, you help us support people in your community. And so having that balance and that recognition that it's not just a daily grind. It is towards other great things if corporates are doing the right thing in the community.
You sound like you work pretty long hours, and you've got a lot on your plate, and you've grown this tremendously in the period of time, 6 years. Where do you take the time to actually really think and visualise about what you are going to do going forward?
I take that 6 weeks over Christmas.
Okay. Okay.
I use that as
you give yourself 6 weeks every year. That's it.
Yeah.
But you take nothing all.
No.
Deliberate. Why? Why don't you? There's always that. The other saying: give yourself advice. Give yourself a few breaks along the year. You don't do it.
I just feel like in not-for-profit I can't. I feel like the start of the year is about me building all the connections, and then the second half of the year is me capitalising on them.
So you're back mid-Feb, third week of Feb.
Yeah.
And you're off on the 25th or 24th or 24th?
Yeah.
With the torch on your head later in the night.
That's right. Yeah. I'm out there with the headlamp. That's right. It's not someone breaking into my house if you're driving past.
Could be Santa just leaving.
Yeah, but I do. I take time there to reflect on what I did well, on what I need to do better.
Okay.
Think about where the gaps are and how I'm operating. When we come back, we have a strategic planning day with our board and our key staff. Mm-hmm. And that is what sets me up for the year, where I focus my energy, where I can really set myself up in terms of, the language I'm going to use, the gaps in the funding I have, who I'm going to target first for the year. These are all things that I have to be in a right headspace to go, because I'm a doer. Some people are talkers and some people, I'm a doer. Mm-hmm. And so once I have that plan, I'm working.
You draft the plan?
Pardon?
You draft the plan?
I do. I do it in partnership with the board. I make my recommendations and then the board will rubber stamp it depending on where they think it's going. We bring in specialists into that strategic planning as well to talk to us.
Yep.
Because obviously sometimes I can have some strange ideas.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's good to have someone say to you, what are you thinking? But then to have someone external come in and sort of help you flesh out those ideas and where they're going and where they came from. And to understand the benefits, but also the risk of doing some of those things.
All right. So if we look back to Christmas or beginning of this year, and you start working mid-Feb, how's the ideas coming together this year?
Well, yeah, this year we've had a good year because we had a plane donated. We were able to renew the government funding
planned?
for the state.
I needed a plane this year?
We needed a plane.
Okay, so you made all efforts to put the word out there?
That's right. And the year before, we needed a plane the year before, and I was able to secure one through the Queensland government.
Okay.
So,
good on you.
You've got to push.
It doesn't walk through the door. You've got to make it happen.
You really do. You really have to make it happen. I don't know. I could have been arrested for some of the things I've done, But I do feel like it's with the right intention.
It's all for the good right reasons, right? Yeah.
I know. And I say that. I was like, I'm with the right intention. I'm with the charity. I'm just trying to do this. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. But, I do believe that. I believe that when I dress for work, I will do whatever it takes. Even just
the old white line fever, have you? Walk across that line, off you go.
I remember I was at airside at Armidale Airport and this big plane came in and I thought, someone important's coming. We're waiting. Mm-hmm. The pilot's like, no, we can't wait. We've got to go. I was like, no, we're waiting. Someone important's coming. and I see Barnaby Joyce and his big entourage. This and it's the
he thinks he's important.
Deputy Prime Minister. And I just started running across the tarmac.
Tarmac, yeah.
And all the security came and I'm like, I'm from Little Wings. And then Barnaby's looking very concerned at me, very concerned. I was like, Barnaby, I just need 30 seconds, got an elevator pitch and I'm done. I'm done, Barnaby. And he's like, okay. So I give my elevator pitch, Didn't work, mind you. Barnaby, you owe me a plane. But that is what it took to get in front and to push through the boundaries. I got a selfie with him there and it's so funny because that looks like a normal selfie, but on the other side there's 20 police.
It's all right.
But you do whatever it takes to get in front of people.
It's only seconds you're going to get in front of him, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And when I first started, when I got my first CEO role, I followed all the rules. I'd send a lovely email or a letter. Nowhere.
Does it cut through it all?
No. And you know what? You're not memorable.
Come on. All right.
That
what
is
have you
just
done
the
to be
reality.
really memorable? Let's hear some stunts.
Yeah, I'll show up. I will show up to any invitation and without an invitation.
All right.
And
I always deserve it of an invitation, of course.
Right. That is right. And I will often get asked, how'd you get in here?
What do you mean how'd I get in here?
I'd be like, I'm a guest.
I was invited, of course.
I'm very important. I'm from Little Wings.
That's my name down there somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's right. But you have to show up.
Okay.
And you have to hustle. So I could.
You a good hustler?
I'm a very good hustler, I have to say. That's one of my hidden talents.
That's a skill and a half.
It is.
No, seriously, it's a skill and a half.
I hear a lot about this anti-hustle culture.
Hey, Abraham Lincoln is the one who said you got to hustle.
I mean, how are people functioning without some hustle? I do not know.
So rejection, what's that mean to you then?
I don't mind. Yeah. I have very thick skin.
Yeah.
I'll just get back up and try again.
Correct.
I'll try a different way.
Yeah, because what's the worst that happens to you? No.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it.
Yeah. And you get creative.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of think about some of these things as like a pimple.
Oh, God, here we go.
I know, I'm giving you all my inner secrets here. And I think, okay, I want to pop that pimple so bad. How? How am I going to do this? I'll go straight to the head. Getting nothing. No. They're not interested. So then my best strategy is I appeal very strongly and show up at all the people that report into that pimple.
Do you?
Yeah.
Ah.
And I'll just keep harassing them in the nicest way, like I'm lovely about it, as I'm sure you're understanding. And I'll just keep showing up and showing up and showing up until they'll write a letter, they'll appeal to them, they'll mention it in Parliament, whatever it is I need, until every single one I've checked off that they've done it. And then usually that person, they've had enough by the time I'm done.
Yep.
And then it pops.
Perfect.
Yeah. And I visualize it like that.
Yeah, do you?
Yes.
Do you visualize a lot?
I do. Yeah, a lot.
And you visualize yourself winning that?
I do.
I visualize we're going to get that plane, or I visualize, so what do you visualize? And when do you visualize?
In the morning, as soon as I wake up.
Okay.
I think about it. What am I going to achieve today? But mainly,
do you?
Yeah.
Every day?
Every day. But mainly it's the big issue, the big one. So when we were appealing for a plane, every single morning I got up and I thought about that plane. What am I going to do today to get that plane? Who am I going to talk to? How do I get that plane? What does that plane look like? What am I going to do with it? What's the impact of it every day? So it's interesting because some people pray.
Yeah, fair enough too.
They'll say a prayer every night. My mum does that. She'll say a prayer, pray for every person.
Yeah, but it's the same thing in a different form. It's just visualization or praying to something.
It's the same.
Yeah. Or repetition.
But somehow praying is, I suppose, more culturally acceptable than manifestation or visualization. But to be honest, it's one of the oldest tools that we have. When I did my thesis in my honours project at uni, yes. I did it on the experience of hypnobirthing, which is a visualization tool, and the experience of pain.
What was it?
Hypnobirthing.
Okay, come on. What's that?
And the experience of pain during childbirth.
What's hypnobirthing?
It's a type of self-hypnotization, which is really not hypnotization, it's visualization.
Yep.
And it is about coaching yourself through that to manage your pain.
Okay, right.
And I suppose the premise of it is that your body is designed to give birth.
Yep.
So that is the premise of it. There's a lot of education around, the father and the mother and how they interact in that space. But ultimately, it's about visualization. And I interviewed 36 women. I tracked them through their whole pregnancy and only one used pain medication.
What about the second time? Do they do it again or do they go…
Well, the second time's always easier.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you know. But if you think about the uterus and all the parts that go with it as a balloon, when you blow up a balloon and you let the air out, it's looser.
That's right.
And so it is always a bit easier as you go along. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So they were all first-time mothers.
Wow.
As part of the study. Yeah.
So what are you visualising at the moment?
Well, at the moment, I'm just focused on fundraising, and I don't think about it as money. I think about it as missions.
All right, how many missions you got to get done?
So we did 2,000.
I'll think about the money for you. You tell me how many missions you got to get done. Let's work backwards.
Yeah, okay. So a mission costs us $1,500.
Wow. So that's a flight there and back?
Yeah. Hangar to home.
Okay, all right.
Hospital to home, rather. And we did 2,335 missions.
Okay, I probably need a calculator now, but okay.
You will. And I estimate the need this year will be closer to 3,500 missions.
Wow. Up by another 1,000.
Yeah.
And you're still going to be short for what you ultimately want to keep doing, don't you?
We'll still be short. We'll still be short. But I always
is
just
this
think
including,
about...
is that 1,000 including having a real fair crack in Northern Territory?
No. That'll just be ACT,
you ought to be
New South
disappointed
Wales
still.
and Queensland. Yeah. That's right. The board are going to listen to this and be very upset about me talking about the Northern Territory. You know, I'm driven by need.
Plan here, right?
That's right. I'm going to do that at the next strategic planning.
You should put what's the name of the planes? One's got to be called visualisation. Somewhere along the line here. Because it's so true.
They're going to think I'm totally cuckoo when they hear this. But I do, and I talk to the team about that. I'll be like, this is our pimple, this is our mountain, this is what we're doing. And they're like, oh, okay. But the reality is it has worked for me, and it does work for me, and I focus on what is the solution, how do I get to that? I need to pop it. And again, I think a lot of it is because it's not for me. It's for someone else. I feel like that good intention, that pay it forward, that all thrusts me forward towards the goal I'm trying to achieve. Of course, it's...
So a knockback's nothing when you possess like that.
Oh, no, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's only one step closer to a yes.
And that's just a bigger challenge for me. I just think, oh my gosh, you just wait. You're going to love me. You just don't know it yet.
What's the best thing you pulled off so far then?
I think the planes are the ones I'm most proud of.
Pretty impressive.
You know, the growth, we've had incredible growth in the number of missions. When I started, we were doing 27 missions a week, or 12 missions a week the first week I started. And I remember it was chaos. Like everyone's like, hands on deck. And, you know, and I was thinking, gosh, 12 missions a week, this is a lot. You know, we do 80 missions a week is the average now. So, and it's not chaos. It's very regimented, systematic. We know what's happening. We've got the right staff. We've got the right systems. We want it to be safe. We think about that. We talk about that. Yeah. You know, we're doing all the right things. We're not cutting corners. And every day we think, how do we do it better?
You really?
Yeah, for sure. We talk about that. We talk about our mission every day. Every time we start a conversation, we talk about who we are, what we do, why we're here. We start our board meetings like that. You know, I think the mission can't be underestimated. Our mission
What's the mission statement then? Or is there a mission statement or is it just contextual words you just use?
Yeah, well, it's your mission. Your journey is our mission. And so we talk about that. We talk about, it's not a tagline to us. That is something we live and breathe.
Yep.
If you're on the journey, we're there with you. And we want to make sure it's a consistent service. And so we talk about that. We talk about it's not for us, it's for the kids, it's for the families, it's for the bush. And we don't shy away from that or make excuses. Like, let's keep it real. Let's not diversify or dilute our programs and our service to the point that we don't recognise it anymore.
Yeah.
I think in not-for-profit mission drift is a real issue. And it's because you're constantly chasing the dollar. You're like, oh, they're going to give us $10,000. Oh, yeah, okay, we'll do it. We'll shape it. It sort of fits. You have to say no.
That's the hard part, isn't it?
It's so hard.
But then you're staying true to what you set out to do.
That's right.
But if I give you this, can't you do that?
Yeah. I've worked in charities and I get there and I go, who do we serve? Like, I know, like, you say this, but when I'm in here.
Doesn't feel like it.
There's like 10 programs and they're all different.
Yeah,
who
right.
are we?
Yeah, okay, right.
Little Wings isn't like that. We're very clean. We're very measured. We're very focused. We only do what we do and we do it well. And I think that is one of the important offerings of this charity compared to others that I've worked in.
How are the rest of the charities doing out there?
They're different. There's 60,000 charities in Australia.
Yep.
Each of them is worthy as another. They've been spawned out of something that there's a need, a gap in our services.
It's tough, isn't it?
So hard.
All of them struggling for, I guess, revenue or funds of some form, aren't they?
It's so hard. I mean, the financial climate for people is so tight, and it's a luxury to be able to contribute to a charity that you believe in. And I think that's why I always come back to making sure I say thank you, because you're the first thing to go.
Have you taken a minister on one of the planes yet?
No.
That's got to be, you haven't visualised that one?
Oh, well, I have tried. He avoids me, I think.
Which one, the Premier or the...
All of them.
A big pimple, right?
Yeah, it's a big pimple. That would be great.
That'd be a game changer for you if you could do something like that.
Yeah.
Just to see it in action, right?
Yeah, I think, just even to come to the hangar. We haven't been able to get him to the hangar.
Oh, really?
Yes, if you're listening, Mr. Ryan Park.
Yeah.
We want you to come to the hangar. It's not for lack of trying.
And just say, for example, let him visualise, for example, because he will be listening to it, of course, right?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. When he walks into the hangar, what's he going to see and feel?
Yeah, he will feel instantly when he walks into the hangar. He'll feel the people that are flying the planes that show up every day to make our service operate. He'll hear the stories of the families and really feel them, how important our service is. Yep. We think our service is important, but...
Well, you're living and breathing. You're looking down like that. Still someone that comes again and reminds you.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
when
amazing.
You hear a family story, you can't help but be moved.
Yeah.
You genuinely can't. The desperation in people, the gratitude in people, the fear people experience.
That's the worst part, right?
These are real emotions that are attached with that mission. And so it's very frustrating when people say things like, oh, you're just a transport service. And it's like, we're not a transport service. We wrap around that whole family for as long as it takes to see that child not only survive, but thrive. And we're committed to that, and we deliver that. And we've been delivering it for 13 years. We're not a service that's going to fall over. We're a service that is going to continue to be here to fill the gaps and the inequities that exist. It's just frustrating when people don't see that and get involved or commit long term. We're very grateful for that funding, for those one-off grants. We're so grateful.
You take it no matter what, of course, right?
But you're fighting all the time. And when you're fighting for funding, you're not focused on the mission. It takes you away. It takes you out of what you're doing every day to service and to do better and to improve your service.
Yeah.
So that commitment is really important.
What is success going to look like for you this year? I know you got the plane. Is there anything else you're hoping for? And it's going to be Christmas Eve before we know it.
Yeah. Well, December's our busiest time of the year.
Why is that?
Well, a lot of the doctors want to have a break as well.
Yeah.
And so they will try and get families in and out so they can have Christmas at home and they can also have a break with their families.
Yeah.
So we do see a dramatic increase right up until Christmas Eve. And then it'll taper off until about mid-January and it'll pick up again.
Yeah, okay.
So we really work hard to fund every mission that there's a request in over December because we know that means families can have some relief over the holidays. And that takes a lot of extra fundraising. We also know that a lot of families go without at this time of year. And so we try to make sure everyone gets a gift on the way through the hangar. So they've got something to unwrap, not only for them, but their siblings and their parents. And so donations in money or gifts, they do go a long way and they mean something to people.
How do you raise the money, Claire?
We raise money in all different ways. We do have corporate partnerships. We have one-off grants. Over Christmas, we have a corporate donor that match gives. So a flight is $1,500. They donate $750 and we ask people to donate $750.
That's pretty cool.
So it is an opportunity to have a big impact for not that much money in the scheme of things. And it's tax deductible.
Okay. So what are we looking for next year? How many, I know we're 1,000 missions down at the moment, right?
Yeah, I think next year will look like about 3,500 missions.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we can fund them.
How much do we need?
We need a lot. We probably need close to $7 million in the next budget.
Okay. How are you going to get it?
It's
what
hard.
are you going to change to get it?
It's hard. We're really lobbying
because
the
you sound like
government.
you're flogging yourself at the moment.
Yeah.
Right? And you're doing an exceptional job. All right, but to take you to that next level, how are you going to do it?
We'd really like more corporate sponsorship.
Yep.
We'd really like the government to
and you're
make
pushing
a commitment.
that? Are you pushing it, the corporate? Okay.
Always.
Just via direct email, social media, you making appearances all day long, turning up uninvited? Or
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So there's a lot of networking, talking at conferences is important. We do a lot of podcasting.
Yep.
We do a lot of social content to make sure people can see and hear our stories.
Yep.
We love to piggyback on the back of brands as well. If they'll share our story or our mission, that helps a lot because their audiences are new and they're diverse.
Helps them as well, surely.
Yeah, definitely. But sometimes charities get caught in an echo chamber.
What do you mean?
Where you're talking to the same people all the time, asking the same people for money. Yes, they believe in your service, but you need to diversify that audience. You can't keep exhausting people. So opportunities to move in different circles, invitations to different speaking opportunities, schools, all of these things, you really just never know where you're going to land or where it's going to lead.
Okay. And what's your hope for Christmas for all the little kiddies out there this year then?
Oh, I mean, ultimately our service wouldn't be required. The Little Wings.
Just like the driver says?
Yeah, then we could shut our doors and go and do something else with our lives, that kids would have the care they need. But unfortunately, that is not the case, and it's not going to be the case. So all that we can do is hope that we can make life a bit easier. We can make sure kids get to the care they need, but they can still rest and recover at home with their family on Christmas Day. We all want that for our kids, particularly if we know it's potentially the last one. If we have children that are terminally ill.
Yeah.
You want that one to be at home. You want that one to be connected with your family, with your pets, just things that you take for granted.
Yeah.
They're really important when you're sick.
Claire, what's your message to people out there who may be in corporate, contemplating a life in not-for-profit?
Yeah, I think never underestimate the ability for you to have an impact. And they may not be jumping ship and working in not-for-profit, but even donating your time. You can, with offering skilled services and volunteering opportunities, you can really transform not-for-profits in the way they operate. If you maybe have skills in IT or strategic planning, or, saying, I'll give you a day, or I'll help you for your week of strategic planning, or let me come in and look at all your policies and do a free health check on all your policies. Like, these are luxuries. These are things that we have to work on, that I'm writing at night, or my team are spell checking, in the wee hours of the morning, trying to make sure we cross every T and dot every I. But if you've got those skills, you could easily give that to us. And most actually corporates will give you 2 days a week volunteered.
Oh, would they?
And they don't see it used. And so if you have a connection with a charity, if you have a skill and you're willing, I would say check with your corporate and then reach out and say, I'll give you 2 days of my time, or a day, whatever it is that corporate volunteering allows in your business.
Okay. And if I wanted to donate, how do I do it?
Easy. You can jump on the Little Wings website, littlewings.org.au, hit donate, and you can either be a regular donor or make a one-off donation. There are some dollar handles there that you can select, 50, 100, 200, or you can just nominate whatever amount you like.
Would anyone have a picture of an airplane?
Yes, of course. Of course. The whole website's littered with airplanes and little people that we've been helping.
Yep. So the website again is what, Claire?
littlewings.org.au.
Okay. Now, Claire, if you were to look back at that young girl going out with mum and dad at Forbes and looking back at her now, and now all the stuff that you've done, what advice would you give her?
I would say to her, follow your North Star. Don't be rattled. You know what you're doing. You know what's best for you. And to believe in yourself.
On that, Claire, it's been an absolute privilege today to meet with you.
Oh.
And I do wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I do hope that plane comes in pretty soon.
You know it. I'll get you out to have a little ride in it.
Done.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks a lot.